So I'm here with Chad Hall, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Grizzly 100 and some other events that he's been doing. And he's won the Grizzly 3 times, so we're going to just sit down and talk with Chad a little bit about that.
Sweet.
So how you been?
Good. Yeah. Doing lots of, like you were saying, I've had a pretty crazy, weird racing schedules last bit, so.
Quite a few running races as well.
Yeah. Mixing up on the trails. I've been jumping back and forth between mountain biking, trail running, just kind of doing all sorts of.
Have you been doing much with your brother? I know you were doing a lot of filming and stuff with him for a little while.
Yeah, so I work for Run Free, which is my brother's coaching company. I do a lot of filming, a lot of video stuff, and then all of his sponsors need photos and videos, so I've been doing a ton of that stuff, just traveling.
Yeah, he also did a really great promotional video for the Grizzly, which turned out really good. So yeah, so this is what, the third or fourth time you've done the Grizzly now? And you
the fifth time.
Fifth time.
I flatted out once.
You flatted out once, and you've won it 3 times?
Won it 3 times.
And he's won it 3 times. So this year the course is a kind of a mix of last year and the year before. We are coming off of Santa Ana River Trail onto Frontline Road, crossing over, and let the bottom of Clark's Grade to Frontline Road to the bottom of Radford, which we did last year instead of taking Seven Oaks Glass Road up the middle. Also, on the other end, there was a portion that had you almost had to dismount your bike and run through a water crossing, and last year we had abandoned it completely, and we took an upper road. That's all been completely repaired and totally dialed, and so we're going to be on that lower road, which makes the course a little bit shorter, which is great, especially with it being longer on the other end. Radford's been dialed in, totally buffed out. Seven Oaks, we did a bunch of work and cut back a lot of the bushes on the upper section, and I scraped a lot of the really sandy, decomposed granite was there. So how are you feeling? What are you thinking? You got any thoughts?
Good. I mean, I feel better having heard that report on the course, because I know last time I rode Seven Oaks, it was like washed out on one section. It was almost just like hillside.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we actually cut a new trail in there.
Okay.
Me, Stu, and Timmy went down, and that was all. There was actually one section that was unrideable.
Yeah.
So we etched that back in. I mean, it's already pretty sketchy as it is, but then there was almost a hike-a-bike section in the middle of the downhill. So we fixed that, and the upper part when you're going down, I clipped all the bushes back, and then there's like a really hard right-hand turn into a really hard left-hand turn, that turn?
Yeah.
So I opened that all up because it was only like 4 or 5 inches wide, so now it's a good, 1.5 foot, 2 feet wide, and it's all cleaned out, and I scraped some of the sand and stuff out of there. If you haven't ever ridden Seven Oaks, it's a super fun, amazing downhill, but there's these shree fields, and it gets really rutty, and it's kind of steep, and there's a lot of exposure, and it's fun and challenging at the same time.
Yeah. And this is always the best time of year to ride it, because you guys do some trail work, and otherwise I don't think it gets touched by anybody, so it gets a little rough, and trees fall down, all sorts of crazy stuff happens. So yeah, keep your head on a swivel if you do ride it.
So Upper Santa Ana River Trail is super narrow as usual. Those left-handers.
Yeah.
I donated some blood to the trail the other day because the
like
one that Stuart flipped off of, actually, it's a really narrow trail, and it seems like it's the narrowest it's ever been this year.
Okay, awesome.
But in good shape in the narrow part.
Okay.
But then those left-hand turns, it has these blind left-hand turns that have roots and shit sticking out, so it gets super, as you go around the turn and it's super exposed, it gets narrower and narrower to barely handlebar clearance width, and it's pretty sketchy, and there's 3 or 4 of those, and a couple other kind of interesting sections. We cleared 2 giant oaks that were laying lengthwise in the trail, and we moved them and we totally cleaned it all up, so it turned out really, really super good, and it's perfect. And so yeah, we're looking forward to having an amazing race.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the interview and for doing the race again. Do you think there's anybody? Do you know of anybody that's coming that's going to be
Challenger?
Super challenging?
I don't know. I was kind of hoping to get the download when I came in here. I heard John was saying Stefano's not.
No Stefano.
So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Kyle is coming years past. Always super tough.
Kyle Trudeau, and of course, there's a couple other people that Samuel, Brim.
Yeah. Sam's been
John's on super good form right now.
Yeah.
Sam's been doing a ton of endurance training.
Hard. He's been putting big miles.
Yeah. And I don't really know. I haven't really seen like on that upper echelon of riders that who else is going to be here. And there's a lot of cash up for grabs. I mean, obviously Tinker, and Tinker's on great form. He's really excited about it this year, coming off his win at Masters World Championships.
Just won Masters.
Yeah. And Chad had a great race in Mammoth. We did the Pedalpalooza a few weeks ago. That was really super fun in Mammoth.
Yeah.
It's always fun to get to race in Mammoth. I love racing up there. So.
I was just wishing there was a Radford in that course.
Yeah, you need a little bit more climbing.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just all windy. Nothing.
Yeah, it's
nothing
fairly
steep.
flat and windy,
Yeah.
and it's fun, but it didn't have enough for you to set enough time on
Yeah.
Stefano on that one big climb up to
Yeah.
not 10,000 feet.
It was high. It was high, just not that steep. Yeah. It was a fun one. Yeah.
Bike's all out and everything's ready to go.
Yeah.
So we look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning. And thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
Thanks for the interview.
Yeah. Thank you.